Council, you're live. You're live.
Good afternoon. Welcome to City Council meeting. Today is Monday, August 18th, 2025. It's approximately 1 p.m. I am Mayor Eric Enriquez. Before we start, I want to mention that do we have them today? I don't see them. The American Sign Language, I don't see them here today. Okay, they're not here today. So if you all rise and join me, we'll start with a moment of silence for the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces as they protect our interests, and as well as the courageous men and women of the Los Cruces and Police Department who keep our city safe 24/7, 365. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So the first item is presentations of certificates and proclamations. These them? All right. So we'd first want to recognize with a certificate of excellence to certify proudly presented to the New Mexico, Texas Major Baseball Team in honor of their outstanding performance and recognition of their high standards of excellence. This certificate is issued in recognition of civic interest and of expression of appreciation by the mayor on behalf of the citizens of the city of Las Cruces, dated this 18th day of August 2025. So I have a list of players here. If they would come join us up front. It's Tiago Torres. Is he here? Tiago. Miguel Castaneda. Iker Cardoza, Jacob Rubio, Zach Lucero, Lalo Escapida, Kason Gose, Romeo Lugo, Jaden Gomez, Andre Castillo, and then we have Miku Khan and Hazen Sanchez and Rico Urezio. The coaches are Sal Gomez, Chris Lugo, Rico Urezio, Donovan Hazen. So these ball players are recognized as the New Mexico, Texas Majors baseball team are 12 and under, 12-year-olds from Las Cruces, 7 players from Las Cruces, 1 from Artesia, 1 from Clovis, 3 from El Paso, and 1 from Houston. The Majors traveled to Cooperstown, New York at the end of July to play in a world-class baseball tournament of 12-year-olds from all over the United States called Cooperstown All-Star Village. 82 teams in total participated in this tournament. The Majors played teams from all over the USA and San Diego, Miami, and New Jersey, to name a few of the states. The team went undefeated all week, winning 11 straight games and going on to win the championship game. No other number one seeded team had ever won the tournament. No other New Mexico-based team has ever won the tournament. The team showed great sportsmanship, determination, and gave up in reaching their goal of playing hard and winning this tournament. And we wanted to recognize them and congratulate them for their huge accomplishment and their undefeated championship victory. So congratulations to you, Coach, and to all the players. I'll give the coach a minute to say a few words, but let's give him another big hand.
Put me on the spot here. All right, guys. Hi there. My name's Sal Gomez. I'm the head coach of the NM Texas Majors. Well, I mean, to put it in perspective, we set a goal to be one of the first New Mexico-based teams to travel to Cooperstown, New York, and we set a goal and expectation to let's finish in the top 10. And all of a sudden, our first two pool play games, won both of those. Next two, won both of those. Next two, won both of those. We're sitting 6-0 in pool play, watching a national team called ZT Prospects, and it's all right. We're tied for run differential, and they ended up allowing a couple more runs, but put us on the first place seed. And when I found out that there's never been a number one first seed to win the tournament, I was like, oh no, I don't want to be number one seed. But these boys and lady did not let that phase them. We opened up with bracket play, and we there was a couple of times where we were down, but I just told them, hey, I preached to them. I've been coaching the majority of these kids since they were 4 and 7 years old, so we've been together for a while. And but every time we were down, I just told them, hey, baseball's like life. Sometimes it's going to beat you down. Sometimes it's going to put you down, but you got one choice, and it's to battle back. And out of those 2 games that we were battling from the back, we came back and took it down. So it was such an amazing experience for the team, for the family members to go and experience. They've all said it. It's nothing. There isn't nothing like it out there, So I'm proud to bring it home to New Mexico, Las Cruces, and representing. Just like how we said, we set 4 records total. There's never been a number one seed to win it. Never a team to go undefeated and win it. There's never been a girl on a baseball team to go and win it. And what was the last one, guys? Come on. No number one seed. First New Mexico team. Come on. But I love you. I love these kids. They know it, and they're all set it out to bigger and better things now. And they are all asking me what's our next one. So right now we have a plan. Got to put it all out there, but we're targeting Myrtle Beach in South Carolina for another Cal Ripken Series League. So thank you all so much.
That's great. Just got to love baseball, especially here in Las Cruces. Thank you, coach and team. Great job. Huge accomplishment. So next, we have Jobs of the Week. Sarah Rainey, sorry, tough act to follow, but you're next.
Gee, thanks for that. No, congratulations to them for sure. All right. My name is Sarah Rainey. I'm the one-stop coordinator for the Southwest region of America's Job Centers, for America's Job Center New Mexico, actually. All right, for Jobs of the Week, we have an employee assistant program coordinator for the city of Las Cruces, starting at $66,000 a year. That position closes on September 1st. We also have a deputy director for utilities engineering. That one has been revised a little bit, so maybe take a look at it. If it wasn't something before that matched, maybe it is now. The posting closes in October on that one. We have an energy engineer also for the city, and that one starts at $89,000 and closes on September 8th. We have a couple of positions actually for the Glitz School of Cosmetology. There is a beauty school instructor for Las Cruces, a full-time or part-time. They also, just FYI for anybody in the Deming area, they have one in the Deming area as well. And for here in Las Cruces, they also have a front desk clerk. So those postings are on our website. They close in September as well. And then for Living Hope Montessori, we have an infant lead educator. That one starts at $28,000 and closes in September as well. And our only event that we've got coming up here in August is this week. We have our Community of Hope Job Readiness. You know, that's where we go out to the Community of Hope, help with resume writing, interview skills, and whatnot. We will be having in September our mock interview event at the Community of Hope. So we're looking forward to having some volunteers come out and be interviewers and help us with those skills and teaching those skills. So if anybody's interested, please reach out to us. We can set you up with that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Next is Pets of the Week. Carol?
Good afternoon. I'm Carol Nelson, Digital Content Specialist with the Animal Services Center of the Mesilla Valley. Just as a reminder, through the whole month of August, all adoptions are free, so it's a great month to adopt. This week, our dog of the week is Cosette, 88695. I'm the perfect size for snuggling on the sofa or keeping up with you on a walk. My adorable little tail is guaranteed to bring smiles without knocking things off your coffee table. With my happy energy, I'll keep you entertained, especially when we play fetch with my favorite squeaky toy. I'm all about treats. I'll do just about anything for one. I would love to find a home where when I'm not running around and having fun, I can climb into your lap for some pets and kisses. And this week, our cat of the week is Ginger, 53957. I'm a sweet cutie pie with a heart full of curiosity. While I can get a little scared at times, I'm bravely learning to overcome my fears. I might tremble a bit when approached, but with just a sprinkle of patience, I warm up quickly. My adventurous spirit drives me to explore my surroundings and seek affection once I feel safe. I would thrive in a calm and loving home where I can continue to build my confidence and become your cherished companion. And as always, we like to highlight our long-term residents, and we actually have really good news. So our 4 longest-term residents were either sent to rescue or adopted this last week. So we're super proud of them, and we still have plenty of other dogs and cats to adopt, so please come by and check out our long-term residents. This weekend, we're actually having a weekend adoption extravaganza. On Saturday, Puppy Palooza at PetSmart from 9 to 12. So definitely come on out to that. And we're having an on-site event on Sunday, the 24th, from 9 to 1. It's an our ASCMV pool party. And we'll have pools for the pups. We'll have some fun games and prizes and a local food truck with some treats, so it's going to be a really good time, so come on out. And if you would like more information, you can visit our website or follow us on social media. Thank you for the time.
Okay, good. Thank you, Carol. Next is a conflict of interest. Does any member of the city council, city manager, or any member of the city staff have any known conflict of interest with any item on the agenda?
None.
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 Next is public participation. Will allow up to 3 minutes, no pending litigations or items on the non-consent. Katrina here will assist you and usher you to the podium, but we want to start first by allowing Joe Gallegos, new director of South Central Solid Waste Authority, to introduce himself. Come on up, Joe.
Good afternoon, Mayor Enriquez, Mayor Pro Tem Bencomo, and all the city council members. So my name is Jose Gallegos. I am a newly hired executive director for the South Central Solid Waste Authority. Thank you again, for this opportunity to introduce myself, a little bit about myself and about the organization for those that may not necessarily know what the South Central Solid Waste Authority is or does for our communities. I'm a graduate at NMSU with engineering degrees, master's in environmental engineering, bachelor's in industrial. I've worked for the federal government over the last 30 years in different capacities, including with the Air Force, Corps of Engineers, and the Army as an environmental engineer. I started as a interim, doing hazardous waste management, solid waste management, recycling programs, and then eventually was given the job as environmental division chief for White Sands Missile Range, and then eventually 8 more years as public works director at White Sands. The last 2 years I've actually worked for the Department of Agriculture in emergency response capacity as an environmental engineer in response to foreign animal diseases. Everyone might have heard of the avian influenza. That was one of our big ones the last couple of years. So I really am happy about giving the opportunity. I took the early out, so to speak, of the federal government, given the certain current circumstances. And I am so happy that I got an opportunity to serve at the national level with the federal government, and given this opportunity to serve at the local level with our city and the county. A little bit about the South Central. 108 employees that do a lot of good work out there. They are the experts. I've been visiting them. I've got about 95% faces to names, and I really appreciate that, taking the time to know what they do for us, our facilities, and the very vital service that they provide here to our communities. If anybody has ever noticed a day when their trash is not picked up, and that's one of those very important services that the minute it's not there, we notice. And I try to instill a sense of pride of what these people do for us, and from every capacity, every facet of our operations, from the laborers all the way to the heavy equipment operators to our engineers. It's very important that we provide a very sustainable service to the organization. I believe I have the background to provide that. I didn't know the previous director. We worked together for 15 some years, and we saw eye to eye on a lot of different things. But I also realize it's now my ship to steer, and with the assistance of my subject matter experts, I hope to do a great job for our community and for the organization. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you again, Mr. Gallegos, and welcome and congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go ahead and begin with the public participation.
Mayor, Council, all the folks here today and those watching online, I'm Lynn Moorer. The Utilities Director asserts that New Mexico Environment Department and EPA are aware of how Las Cruces Utilities is inspecting its lines to comply with the lead and copper rule. That's a curious justification for a technique that clearly does not comply with EPA guidance. New Mexico Environment Department has no role in enforcing the rule because the state does not have primacy. EPA is the sole agency with enforcement authority. It's troubling that the director doesn't understand understand this distinction. Even if EPA is aware of the city's deficient technique, it doesn't mean the agency approves of it. EPA may be working on an enforcement action against the city. The director should explain how the city's technique of just looking in the meter box can identify lead lining inside the pipe. How does it identify a lead segment farther up the line? How does it deal with a setter's meter? Where is the evidence for each property that this technique results in an accurate conclusion as EPA requires? An EPA document dated October 2024 says water systems must use a validation process to ensure the service line inventory is accurate. You and city staff were provided this document, so everyone has been informed about this federal requirement for accuracy. Despite this requirement, Las Cruces Utilities provides false assertions in its inventory. Handout 1 sets out facts regarding the city's practice of falsely characterizing pipes as non-lead based on installation date after the 1986 lead ban, when their installation date is prior to it. These properties constitute 28% of 81 properties sampled. This means the city falsely characterized more than a quarter of the properties sampled as non-lead based on installation date after the 1986 lead ban. Review of the installation date column plainly shows that each is prior to 1986. It is not a close question. Top city staff should be able to see this obvious fact and stop providing cover for the director's continued provision of false information to the public. Review of the record date column shows that most of these 23 properties were posted with this false information for 8 months on the city's inventory. Then in mid-June, all installation dates were disappeared. This removes any basis. Without basis, there's no credibility. Here's the thing. Being able to tell whether a date is before or after 1986 is pretty simple. If Las Cruces Utilities can't get it right 28% of the time, we cannot ever trust them when they say pipe is non-lead based on installation after the lead ban. The director asserted at the last meeting, we believe we're meeting all requirements. Seriously? I doubt anyone at EPA agrees that providing false information in the inventory complies with the rule. That the director and city staff have been repeatedly informed about this and other federal requirements the city is violating, yet continues to fail to comply, makes each a knowing violation, which can lead to more severe penalties. You all should know that, as of this weekend, Las Cruces Utilities has disappeared the entire online inventory without explanation. Another colossal violation of EPA requirements. Thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Mayor, City Council, I'm Liz Rodriguez Johnson. I'm going to outline another problem evident in Las Cruces Utilities' compliance with the lead and copper rule. This one pertains to its classification of pipes using as a basis, quote, water sampling only with no records, unquote. Handout A lists 32 properties found so far for which the inventory uses that basis. Without records, nothing can be proven. So none of these classifications can be proven to be accurate. Water sampling only with no records is plainly not an evidence-based technique like EPA requires. Plus, without records, how do you even know that sampling occurred? Without records, it didn't happen. The Las Cruces Utilities Office has had problematic inventory records disappeared, which allows them to try to argue that none of the problems occurred, when in fact we have hard copies of the disappeared records. 90% of the water sampling only with no records properties have not been verified using evaluation of another method. For the 3 properties that indicate a non-lead status verified by visual inspection at the meter pit, the technique that the city uses is so flawed that it doesn't actually verify anything. Moreover, for more than half of the properties, the reported water sampling yielded a classification of unknown So water sampling can lead to either a non-lead or an unknown classification, and that just doesn't make sense. Thus, water sampling only with no records is neither a reliable nor a proven evidence-based technique like EPA requires. A variation of this flawed basis is the second problem evident in Las Cruces Utilities inventory. The examples of this are so numerous that a list of these addresses were not compiled for you at this time. In the second case, the city classifies properties all across the city as non-land based on field inspection only with no records. Like water sampling only with no records, field inspection only with no records is not an evidence-based technique that can be proven to be accurate. Therefore, it doesn't comply with EPA requirements. Again, without records, one cannot be certain that an inspection actually occurred or what the purported inspection consisted of. And use of visual inspection at the meter pit does not actually verify anything because the technique is so inadequate. Why, ladies and gentlemen, why is the city choosing to use two such utterly inappropriate grounds for classifying pipes, classifications that are critical to protecting public health, especially that of the vulnerable and the relatively powerless citizens of Las Cruces? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. My name's Eddie Thomas. I want to talk to you about what I have termed the culture of crime in Las Cruces. In certain circles, parents in Las Cruces raise their children to hate police and resist arrest. They join gangs and end up either getting arrested or getting killed. If we love our children, we would interdict and steer them from this bad road. If they survive, they end up as adults with juvenile records, then find it difficult getting a job or getting into trade school or college. Their working lives are limited, thus making a life of crime an attractive and easy choice. Selling drugs or transporting illegal immigrants doesn't take any talent or skill. It may even become a necessity in order to survive in the gang life. Even if you do get a job, you'll be closely watched and can expect to be fired on the spot at the first sign of trouble. Second chances rarely come to those with a criminal record. Nothing is going to reduce our crime statistics until parents in Las Cruces stop supplying gangs with fresh recruits. If we can't get our legislature to pass meaningful laws to curb crime, then we, the people, and more specifically the parents, have to get involved. Something has to break this circle of criminality that is self-perpetuating. We have to give our kids alternatives to gang life, such as sports, boys clubs, music, church activities, or extracurricular activities that aren't illegal. Watch who their friends are. Who are they hanging out with? Academics or gangbangers? You may have to get real angry and insistent, but it is something they might thank you for when they get their degree from college or trade school. Imagine your heart bursting with pride when you see your kid walking off the stage with a diploma in his hand. Now imagine that same kid behind bars wearing orange overalls with the letters DOC on the back. It's up to us as parents. We are all influenced by the company we keep. If you love your kid, watch the company he keeps. The police are not the problem, as some would have you think. You want to do something about crime in Las Cruces? Raise your kids to respect the law. There seems to be an anti-police sentiment here in Las Cruces. As societies go, that's counterintuitive. You need law and order to keep the peace and thrive as a city. Commerce dries up when there's no law and order. Need proof? Just look at the boarded up businesses around town. There's a perfect example just across the street from here. It used to be a tire shop. Now, it's a boarded-up building that probably provides a hiding place for mischief makers and homeless. Do you, as mayor and city council, want to save Las Cruces from the death spiral it's currently in? Then advocate for laws that actually deter crime so that we don't have gang wars in our parks and police officers murdered by deranged, violent career criminals. Thank you.
Let me see how to aim this thing. Mr. Mayor, Council, I'm Lonnie Montgomery. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. And I'm here bringing greetings from the riffraff to the oligarchy. The oligarchy pushed through the housing with the help of the zoning, and we tried to get a bunch of people to vote so we could get it on the ballot so the people could vote on it. But it wouldn't matter if we had 45,000, 4,400, 989 would not been approved. But it went on, and I congratulate you. And but the zoning, they've done a lot of good things. It's like when they were having Sonoma there were 5 of us there. There was me and my son and his wife, and there were 2 people, and they were all of those 2 were on crutches. And this one lady said, "I don't want this built out there because it's going to take away my view of the beautiful Oregon mountains." But they said it didn't matter. So to me, that just didn't work. And then when we had a church that was going to have a dispensary built next to it, that's 2 feet away from the church property, they zoning called the attorney there and said, "Is this illegal?" And she said, "Yes, it is." And they said, "Oh, well, that's okay, we'll pass it." And they passed it. And the thing came, and it came in there. Anyway, it's gone now because God took it away or whatever. But anyway, that just goes to show me that the zoning thing just doesn't give a tinker's damn on what's going on. But we need to come together here, and Pastor Dennis preached about 2 months ago that Jesus loves everyone. He's known you from conception, you're all sons of God, but we need to love even our adversaries. So I'm bringing a message to you today. Mr. Mayor, Council, I love you. And I shall continue to love you, and I shall continue praying for you daily, and I will continue from there on. But as we're both all sons of God and everything, being an older sibling, I wanted to give you a little warning. Please do watch what you speak to the public. That could lead to traducement. If you go on traducing like that, sooner or later you're going to end up in court. And that's just the warning. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. My name is Lucas Herndon. I'm a resident of District 2. I'm here today because, well, I'm often here, but in particular, last City Council meeting after I spoke, there was a sentiment expressed that certain people don't want to hear certain ideas presented at City Council, and that expression of my free speech is something that I thought was held dear in this country. And as I've been looking around and noticing sort of the way things are going, it feels like lots of things that I was taught what this country stands for don't appear to be agreed upon by everybody in this country at this point in time. It is my opinion that as a community, we have a moral obligation to do what we can to help each other. And as we pool our resources, through things like taxes and build budgets for this city to spend in ways that can help our community. 2 weeks ago, you did a good thing by passing a $640-ish thousand an ordinance that would allow you to accept that kind of money for a seed grant, which will help low-income people make their homes more energy efficient, thus saving them money, thus making them more able to contribute to our collective society. Meanwhile, the Las Cruces police posted some very giddy photos of their new Bearcat, which is made by a company called Linco. These vehicles cost anywhere between $200,000 and $450,000, depending on which model you get. I don't know what model LCPD just procured, but that's a lot of money that could go towards directly helping people in our community based on the amount we just passed for this seed grant. So when I express my opinions about the police and how we provide them with far too many resources comparatively to what we provide our actual citizens, I don't feel like my opinions are any less valid than anybody else's. We are here to debate those in this public forum. I will continue to do so. And then finally, I will say that in the national front, as we have seen this expression of restricting speech and in the name of public safety or something to that effect, and I would remind all those paying attention that one of our dear calls to action at the founding of this country was give me liberty or give me death, and I stand by that.
Good morning. My name's Jim Hurst. I may owe some of you an apology. I thought you had some power in the state, and apparently I'm incorrect. That this county council or this city council has no handle on our government as far as the state. I guess power goes down, not up. There is a serious issue, though. Voting by mail increases voter turnout. Presumably, votes with higher turnout are more in tune with democracy. The more people that vote, the more the voting reflects the people's will. The people's will is supposed to prevail in a democracy. Voting by mail allows more people to vote more times. Not in an illegal way, but they'll show up every election if you let them vote by mail. There's a mechanism in the state. The state allows permanent vote by mail. You're supposed to be able to sign up for it online, but it's only open for a few months before the elections. We are less than 100 days away from the next election. The state portal for signing up to vote by mail on a permanent basis online does not function. It is not open. Apparently somebody thinks nobody's going to do that this far before the election, but if you're hoping to have a campaign to increase voting by mail, now is the time to print literature, to train volunteers, to start signing up people to vote by mail. That can't be done while the portal is closed. So I don't know what influence you have with who. I'm just begging you to find it, use it, and make voting more accessible by demanding that the Secretary of State open the portal now, not Labor Day, not 6 weeks before the election or whenever the hell they were planning to do it, but now, so that we can build campaigns around it. Thank you very much.
Tim Jenkins here. I've been a plumber here in Las Cruces for over 20 years now, and I personally service about 90% of restaurants, hotels, motels, hospitals, etc. And it is absolutely heartbreaking to see the demise of this city. And it seems to especially have gotten worse and worse in the last 5 years. You used to be able to go to a restaurant and sit down for a bite to eat, and when you needed or wanted to, go to the restroom to wash your hands before eating. But now almost every single restaurant in this town has to have their restrooms under lock and key because of the destruction to their property from the unhoused or mentally ill or the unstable. There was a field engineer visiting me last week from back east, and we were grabbing a bite to eat before heading to Holloman Air Force Base for a job. And he had to wait 10 minutes to use the restroom until a manager was available to unlock the restroom for him. He was absolutely shocked and says to me, "What the F is going on in Las Cruces that all the bathrooms have to be locked?" And I was so ashamed and embarrassed that this is the city that I call home. And I wish I could invite people here and be proud of my city, but the sad reality is that I am not proud of this city, and it's embarrassing to invite people here with the state of this city. And I can guarantee you that I don't have all the right answers and don't know all the steps to take to change this around. But what I do know is that we can spend $20 million building houses and economic development, and not a single thing will ever change until we start to deal with the actual root of the problem. So I demand that we, as a whole, start actively working together to address the crime and the mental illness in our very own city. We have multiple times asked for work sessions and collaboration to help with these exact issues in every way we can, but instead we get called names and get vilified for our efforts. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, Mayor Eric Enriquez and everybody of the audience. My name is Belinda Robertson, candidate Republican for Governor of the State of New Mexico 2026. I want that everybody know why I decided to be a governor of the State of New Mexico. The first thing is to put an order in the area criminal, in the area of the injustice by judges in the 3rd Judicial District in the city of Las Cruces, New Mexico. I want that everybody know.
Ma'am, hold on a second. If you're running for a political office, you can't share that during public comments.
Well, no, I'm going to say my problem that I have in the 3rd Judicial District.
Yeah, you just can't speak to the fact like anything as far as campaigning.
Yes, thank you. I have a problem that my husband have the custody of my daughter, and I claim the custody of my daughter of emergency because one of the police officers was affected because my daughter was driving alone with no driver license, with no permit, with no age, with no car insurance in the city of Las Cruces. And it's a child endangerment, and the life of drivers around the city of Las Cruces are in danger. If my daughter she just turned 15 years old, and she have a car collision, and crashed the car with a police officer from Las Cruces Police Department. And I already put the motion that I want emergency, but I want my daughter, claim the rights of the biological mother of my daughter, but the judge, she don't give me my daughter, and I don't have felonies or criminal history. And this is why I came to here, if you can investigate or help me to recover my daughter. And I give you a copy of the statements that I present in the 3rd Judicial District in the city of Las Cruces, New Mexico. The case is D307 DM 2021 00100. and I claim the rights of the biological mother of Mackenzie Rochelle Robertson and Cameron Robertson. She born on December 14, 2009, and Cameron born on January 20, 2011. And then I accuse my husband, Ken Robertson, for negligence because it's the same to if you leave an arm or a arm to a kids, he leave the keys to the kids. It's the same. It's example. He saw the arm. He going to shooting people around the Cruces because he doesn't know. And my daughter, she take the car and running at high velocity. And one of the things that I complain, and I want the Jeremy story check this.
Ma'am, your 3 minutes are up.
Yes, but I want that he reviews.
We've got it with the city attorney. The city attorney will respond to you.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Mayor, Council, Jim Wilcox. Have some good news. We have a position posted for the Active Transportation Coordinator. Good job on that. And I'm a member of the Association of Bicycle Pedestrian Planners, and I posted that on their site, and I put in a really good word for the city of Las Cruces and how great it is to work with the council and the other people who are employed here. As far as that position, I recommend that you include a non-voting community member, and that person should be not me. It could be somebody in our community that's involved in bicycle, pedestrian, and transportation, and it would offer insights and credibility. And I recommend the head of the board chair of Velo Cruces, which is Donald Wilson. He is a native of the city, and he's he has a background in administration, and he's familiar with EEO. So that would be somebody I'd recommend you put on that committee. They don't have to be a voting member. Secondly, I'm also happy to say that we have a weed ordinance that's been tendered, and I would like to just indulge you a little bit because I won't be here when the discussion happens. I'm going to be out of the area. So it's really great because I talked to Officer Roach. He did a great job in looking at his direct reports who are out in the field and asked them what they thought. That's a really good sign of a manager to do that. And it lists 8 weeds. And when you list those weeds, if it should be passed, when you list those weeds, put a link to the picture so that people would know. And I would also recommend that you show also pictures of the things we want to see, the native plants that people could plant, because that's like the carrot also. And you can also educate people at the farmer's market. And I recommend you talk to the Native Plant Society, of which I'm a member also. They have insight into the details about this as far as which plants you should have, be encouraging that people plant in our area. So those are, and they'll get the word out also, help get the word out about the weeds that we don't want to see. So you're going to take it's going to take a little bit of an education process. Get a table down at the farmer's market. You can have the weeds out there and have them identify which ones are good and which ones aren't. That'd be kind of fun. And then finally, just a little hint about something or a suggestion. The current grass height, I think, is recommended around 4 inches. I think it's a little short. You know, I was out there cutting my grass the other day, and I'm like, got my ruler out there, you know. So I recommend something around 6 inches. I think that's good. You know, they say, well, we don't want the vermin to hide under the grass. Well, there's already bushes and stuff that cover huge areas of yards that go right down to the ground. So I think 6 inches would still be able to see those vermin running around in your front yard. So thank you for your time, and congratulations on these 2 accomplishments.
Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't plan on saying something, but I make a very long story of years.
Ma'am, what's your name? Can you state your name?
Yes, Doris Buchmann, and I'm the resident of 422 East May Avenue. and we have 414
Ma'am,
later.
Ma'am, that one is coming up on our
Yes,
agenda.
I don't want to talk about that.
Okay, if you're not
Okay.
going to speak about that, that's fine.
Yes.
We'll open it up
Yes,
for
I know,
discussion
I
after
know,
if you
I
want
know,
to say
I know
something
that.
during that item, but you can't speak about it now.
Okay, thank you. I want to speak about all the action that is happening in our street, and many people know drug dealing. There's a lot of stuff. Sites are used as dump sites, fires, and all that. My question is very simple. Why is it so difficult to get a camera on the corner where the main action on the side of the daycare in San Pedro would be put? We once had it there, and the activity went down. And I was told by the police it's not up to them to decide where those cameras are. The argument is often that the camera is against the, privacy policies and all that. And if you would go out and ask the people in our streets, I'm pretty sure that 99% would be for the camera because of the impact that all that has in our street. There are certain times when certain cars in the night are driving down and the activity is very high. People are coming from everywhere and they're throwing stuff in that truck, in that black truck, and it has a sidecar that is always accompanying this truck, and then they leave again. And everybody in the street knows that these are the cartel people. And I don't know, I'm not a professional, I'm just living right there. And it's very hard to live there and every night to listen to how bad it gets. And I just wanted to throw in the question about the police camera, these ones that they have on the Walmart properties, for to check on. So that's all. And thank you for the city, because the city is doing a great work with what I'm not supposed to talk about. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
That's fair enough, just not to speak at this time, but there'll be an opportunity. So next is a closed meeting statement. The City of Las Cruces City Council met in closed session at 10:44 a.m. on August 18th, 2025. The following were in attendance: Mayor Eric Enriquez, Councilor Cassie McClure, Councilor Graham, Mayor Pro Tem Bencomo. Via phone, Councilor Flores, Chief Mike Daniels of the Fire Department, Henry Becker, Assistant City Attorney, Brad Douglas, City Attorney, Barbara Bencomo, Ikani Tamopayao, Chief Jeremy Story of the Police Department, and Christine Rivera, our City Clerk. Outside counsel was Luis Robles and Chris Delfino. Barbara Bencomo left at 11 a.m. Flores was off via phone at 11:20 a.m. and I reported at 11:18 a.m. The Las Cruces City Council met in closed session to discuss the opioid litigation update regarding Purdue Pharma bankruptcy and Sackler settlements, to discuss pending litigation regarding Melissa Leah Ronquillo, personnel representative, a wrongful death estate of Connie Polanco versus the City of Las Cruces, to discuss pending litigation regarding Brandon Barron, Yolanda Mirales, Manuel Salcedo Contreras, and Lorenzo Mireles. And next, friend of DB, a minor, versus the City of Las Cruces. Also to discuss pending litigation regarding Paulette Easy and Pamela Easy Silvestre as personal representatives of the estate of the Priestley Easy versus City of Las Cruces. This meeting adjourned at 12:44 p.m. Next is the acceptance of agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
This is on the motion to accept the agenda as presented. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Coran?
Yes.
Counselor Flotis is absent. Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes. Next, we'll move to resolution and/or ordinance for discussions. 8.1, that's resolution number 26-025, a resolution adopting a 2-year funding strategy for the use of opioid settlement funds to address the harms of the opioid crisis.
Move to approve. Second.
And we'll have Barbara Bencomo.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council. Barbara Bencomo for the record to speak with you today about recommendations for the expenditure of opioid settlement funds. And I also want to recognize two who are with me today. We have Jamie Michael, who is the Doña Ana County Director of Health and Human Services. She has been a partner through this coordinated process with the county. And then we have Wes Smith, LCFD case manager, who's also been assisting in forming these recommendations. So I want to thank them both for being here. We also have advisory council members here, and we have folks from Las Cruces Public Schools. So today our presentation agenda includes briefly going over the settlement agreements, and then reviewing the strategies, goals, settings, and populations which have been brought forward in previous work sessions and supported, then reviewing recommended expenditure amounts and discussion of next steps. So for the current settlements, the city is slated to receive just under $10 million through 2038, and as of July 2025, we have received just over $3.8 million of those funds. These are settlements with distributors, manufacturers, and retailers. They are both national and state settlements. The use of funds is to address the harms of the opioid crisis, and the use is also governed by terms in the settlement agreement. The settlement agreement also stipulates that funds be held separately, which we do. The framework for the allowable uses really starts with the strategies that are outlined in Exhibit E from the settlements, and then cascades down to goals, settings, and populations, which we will go over. This framework is so important, and it's part of what we are asking council to adopt today because it will govern the expenditure of funds in our community. The Opioid Settlement Advisory Council utilized community needs assessment, workshops, and certainly expertise of the advisory council members to make these recommendations to you, and they have come forward in previous work sessions, but we're going to talk about them again today. Of the 9 allowable strategies outlined in Exhibit E, the Advisory Council recommended these 4, which gained support at the March joint work session with City Council and County Commission, and they include medication-assisted treatment, warm handoff and recovery services, prevention programs, and data collection, reporting, evaluation of the expenditure of these funds to determine if they are meeting the goals as intended. Once we had support for the 4 recommended strategies, then the Advisory Council got to work on developing goals, settings, and populations for which the activities would support the strategies. So you see some of the goals here that were brought forward in the most recently in the June work session. But I do want to point out that the last goal on this page was added to align with the strategy regarding data collection and reporting, so that we would have something to govern the performance of those expenditures. The settings and populations that are recommended include emergency departments, people who overdose, residential treatment facilities, people with current substance use disorder or serious mental illness, for example. They include primary care, medical care, for example, pregnant and postpartum women, and certainly the child welfare continuum. And then in June, when we brought this forward to you, we also added one additional setting that was not on the original list recommended by the Advisory Council, but it was recommended by Chief Story and Chief Daniels, and that is the school setting for children and youth at risk for developing opioid use disorder, and this is primarily prevention programming. So once the strategies, goals, settings, and populations garnered support, then we're bringing forward today recommendations for expenditures of the funds underneath that framework that we just outlined. The recommendation is for a 2-year funding cycle to expend the funds and evaluate them. The recommendation is that 30% of the city's total distribution be allocated for this first tranche of expenditures. That would equate to just over $2.9 million. Of that, we would set aside $327,000 to hire a position to help administer the program and to enter into a contract for evaluation jointly with the county. For the funds that are to be spent outside of the data collection and reporting realm, the target would be for 60% of the funds to be spent on treatment and 40% on prevention. This would leave just over $864,000 left in the balance in the city's fund, which would be augmented with annual distributions and any new settlement funds that we might receive. Some examples of activities that could be funded underneath the treatment umbrella are here before you, and I've highlighted one in yellow because it's actually a specific expenditure request as part of this resolution, and that is to purchase naloxone for distribution to first responders. And I just have indicated there that would go to Las Cruces Fire Department and Police Department. For prevention, again, some examples of potential activities that could be funded with highlights for two line items here. One, because they are part of a specific expenditure request under this resolution. One is to support social emotional learning prevention programming in schools. That would go directly to Las Cruces Public Schools. And one is to fund substance use prevention programming, again in the school setting, but this would be administered by Las Cruces Police Department. So specifically, the request in the resolution, as I mentioned, is to fund or to expend $2,945,053 for the purposes of addressing the harms of the opioid crisis. $82,000 would go to purchasing naloxone for police and fire use, and then we would have just under $1.5 million for contracted treatment services. Then we would have a direct allocation to Las Cruces Public Schools for their SEL prevention programming, an allocation of $175,000 to Las Cruces Police Department for their substance use prevention programming in schools, and then just over $500,000 for contracted prevention programming. So altogether, this proposal would have $2 million going to the community, $2 million in treatment and prevention programs for which community providers could propose programs. The proposal today for the city is to allocate $2.9 million of the $3.8 million that we have received for this first tranche of expenditures. Next week, the County Commission is going to hear a similar proposal to spend $4.3 million of their funding, which also equates to about 30% of their expected distribution, so that a total of $7.3 million would be available in the community over the next 2 years to address the harms of the opioid crisis. Next steps, as I mentioned, would include the County Commission resolution going forward on August 26th, the development of the grant and the RFP, which would be in the September-October timeframe. The Legislative Health and Human Services Committee will be in Las Cruces on September 8th, and they have requested a presentation on our coordinated efforts on opioid settlement funds, and Jamie Michael will be leading that presentation. Then we are planning a pre-proposal community workshop on September 16th here in Council Chambers from 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. to go over the allowable uses for the opioid settlement funds and the expenditure framework, the strategies, settings, goals, and populations to help people understand what kinds of activities could be funded with the $2.9 million. We anticipate releasing the RFPs or grant notices in the October-November timeframe, evaluating proposals in the November-December timeframe, and that would be a joint evaluation between the city and the county, and then awards in January pending council approval. So with that, I would stand for any questions, and of course I have some other community members here with me as well who would also be able to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Councilor Correa.
I thank you, Barbara, and thank you to the folks on the committee who I know really worked hard to think critically about this and move it forward. I really appreciate you all's work and thoughtfulness. I have a couple sort of specific questions, but I guess I'll start with my ongoing admonition. I know that there's a lot of money going to prevention, and I just want to make sure that we don't do DARE of the 80s anymore. I know everyone has agreed upon this, but I just want to once again put it out there that this is oriented toward evidence-based contemporary methods in our approach to prevention, because I know that was a big misstep of prior public health initiatives. So I just want to again reiterate, I trust that the folks who are administering this are thinking about that in that context of evidence. But specifically to the question of what the process is, I was wondering what the role of the committee is and how that relates to the RFP. I do see that there's a lot of contracted work. I would like the Opioid Settlement Advisory Committee that's full of professionals who do this work to be engaged in the future, but I also don't want them to be excluded from RFPs. So I think that I don't know how that will work, and it's not something for us to micromanage, I don't think, from here, but I just sort of want to speak to, I hope that the process is really transparent, which it sounds like there's a strong plan to have that process be transparent, but also to engage the folks who know the most about this to help support the process. And so I just want to speak to appreciating that transparency, and then also just getting clarity on what the role of the council will be specifically in those things versus the RFPs. And I know the city has very high standards by which we issue money, so I'm confident that we'll go through those types of processes, but I'm hoping you could talk a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for the question, Mayor and Councilor Karan. So with respect to the prevention efforts and concerns about the kinds of programming that we're talking about, I know we are talking about a revised program called Keeping It Real. This is the one that the police department would like to launch as an option for the public schools. There's currently a pilot program going on right now with 2 schools in LCPS, but the police department would like to train officers to be able to teach that curriculum, which I understand is evidence-based, again, as an option in the public schools. And I know that Lieutenant Wiedela helped to draft the proposal for what this will look like over the next 2 years, so I know she'll be happy to speak to that if you want more detail on that. Regarding your second question on the Opioid Settlement Advisory Council and their role, yeah, we absolutely want to make sure that we both engage them for their expertise, but also allow them to have the opportunity to make proposals with whatever organizations that they might be working with. With respect to the RFP and the grant, that would be very administrative focused in terms of how we develop those requirements and get them out there. We are anticipating that on the evaluation committee, which would be both from the city and the county, that we could have one external subject matter expert and obviously somebody not connected with anyone making proposals. We do also anticipate that the members of the advisory council are going to be very heavily involved as we develop the reporting structure for the expenditures, the evaluation of the efficacy of the expenditures, ensuring that the outcomes are those that we intended. They certainly have a very strong role in that part of the process on an ongoing basis as well. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you, but it does bring up one other quick question just related to the evaluation. So the evaluation work that's included in this will be contracted out, or that will be, okay, Jamie is shaking her head, so I was just curious what the role was, so thank you. That helps, that answers all of my concerns, because I wouldn't want us to be like, oh, we have a process and we enlisted all of the experts to help us develop this, and then none of those experts can actually participate in the work, because I think there are a lot of good folks contributing who work with different agencies. So thank you again. I really appreciate y'all's work, and that's all I have. LT Wiedela, I know. We've had this conversation before, so I have confidence in y'all's, and Chief Story has also mentioned his commitment to following the evidence on this, so thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mayor Pro Tem.
Thanks, Barbara, and thanks everyone again for getting us here. I think I'm still unclear about sort of the joint part of this effort. So if someone wants to submit an RFP for the funds, is there going to be 2 different RFP processes, just one? Is there actually 2 pots of money and not really one?
Yes. Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem Bencomo, yes, great question. We do have our own funds that have come to us at the city, and we have them in a very, set aside. The county has received their own pot of funds as well. So we do anticipate that we will have 2 coordinated processes. The county will probably do an RFP process. As the city, we will probably do a grant process, similar to what we did for other funds, like for our ARPA community funds, for example. We certainly have not had a joint effort of this kind before, so we're sort of working our way through that, what it looks like. One of the important steps to that, though, is the coordination of our grants team and the city's procurement team, which we've already had some initial meetings on how this could be structured. Also, the joint pre-proposal conference, so that we get the same message out to the community, because I very much anticipate that we'll get some of those same questions. It is very possible that both the city and the county will want to fund some of the same activities. So we definitely don't want to be, for it to be an onerous process, burdensome for the community providers. So I anticipate that as we get proposals and jointly evaluate them between the city and the county, that there might be some future consideration of pooling funds in certain ways, so that we don't have to have multiple contracts for the same services. But again, that's sort of yet to be determined as we receive proposals, and in that coordinated effort, determine how we're going to spend those funds. So I can't answer exactly right now,
Totally.
but I can tell you that there are a lot of efforts to make this a coordinated effort so that we don't have too many administrative costs associated with these funds going out to the community, and certainly that we don't duplicate services unless we intend to, really beef up programming in a certain area.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's helpful. I get it. It's new territory, so I think I definitely commend all of you for, diving in fully on this. I look forward to how it goes. Speaking of beefing up certain things, since last work session, I'm curious about exploring, and again, I don't know, given anti-donation, I don't know even if this money is tied to that or not. Actually, now that I think about it, it's not, right? I'm curious about exploring an opportunity for a naloxone community center, right? Like where instead of having local organizations who are often utilizers of naloxone have to go through a grant writing process, an RFP process, and just using funds for first responders, can we explore that? Like, can we explore some sort of community-driven naloxone center? I'm sorry, I don't have the words, but I'm curious if I just feels like there could be a much easier route for that kind of harm reduction than for other kind of programming that other service providers may have. Like this feels very low, like naloxone feels very low level.
Good afternoon, Jamie Michael, County's Health and Human Services Department, Mayor, City Councilors, and Mayor Pro Tem Bencomo. Are you talking about purchasing naloxone and giving it out to organizations so they can either use it or distribute it to
Yes.
the people they serve? We are already doing that with both state and county funding, and we will continue to do that with the opioid settlement funds. It's in the proposal for County Commission to approve that. If we continue to get state funding, we'll continue to do that. So right now, that is what is happening. We purchase large amounts twice a year and give them out to organizations and ask them to distribute on our behalf. So it's not an anti-donation. And I know there is funding that Barbara put in the proposal for you all. It would go to first responders and law enforcement, and sometimes first responders and law enforcement also distribute out to the public. So we are talking about how to synergize those purchases so we get the biggest bang for the buck if there's efficiencies in buying in bulk. But we will continue. You're right, that is one of the easiest and most effective things to do is get naloxone out.
That's really great to hear, Jamie. Thank you for educating me on that in the public. And then I think Barbara and for our chiefs, as much as I think we can do that for the city, right? Like first responders be the distributors of that for organizations that often use naloxone. I think that's much faster harm reduction than having to go through a bureaucratic grant process to apply for naloxone. So thank you for that.
And excuse me, I'm just going to interrupt. I didn't mean to leave out Chief Story and Chief Daniels, but they actually proposed the funds that are in your resolution today for naloxone. And so I didn't know if they wanted to speak to that distribution or purchasing or programming at all, but I wanted to give you the opportunity.
Thank you. And then just lastly, I had similar concerns about the 175 set aside for the substance use prevention programming in schools. I have similar reservations about their curriculum, I'm sorry. And I think even when I think about the name of it, I think I would tell like my 17-year-old and she'd just cringe at me, keeping it real, really? And so I want us to be able to, is this money able to explore other programming? And then that essentially, also I think another sort of tension I'm having is that we're telling the schools what kind of curriculum to adopt, and I know it's an option, but are we able to provide a menu of options that they think work to, the population?
So I'll address one part of that, and then I'll let Lieutenant Wiedela jump in here. But with respect to the funding, so in the resolution, we have allocated the funds for the purpose of substance use prevention programming to be administered by Las Cruces Police Department. And I expect that Lieutenant Wiedela and others will join in to say, you know, kind of what will formulate their thought process about where to go with that. With respect to the public schools, I think that we have been very careful to say that this would be an option for them. They have a lot of, educated me actually, they have a lot of different options at the schools for the different levels, elementary, middle, and high school, for different prevention programming, which is great, but they certainly have schools where there are gaps, or maybe there are schools where that particular school would want a particular type of programming, and that's why we want to make sure that we can bring that forward as an option, but I'll let Lieutenant Wiedela add to that.
And Lieutenant, before you go, if there's someone from the schools here that also maybe wants to add something, that'd be great. Oh, okay, great, thank you, Mayor. Go ahead, Lieutenant, thank you.
Lieutenant Wiedela for the record. And yes, Mayor Pro Tem, and councilors. So full transparency, what we're looking at right now is the Keeping It Real curriculum. And I can understand that a 17-year-old would find that very cringy. With that curriculum, it is more so focused on the elementary schools, which, when we're taking a look at our community in particular, tends to be, when we're thinking prevention kid-wise, where we want to address a lot of the concerns that we have seen the last couple of years. Again, full transparency, yes, it is prior DARE programming, changed, new curriculum, and evidence-based. With that said, you're exactly right. Would it be beneficial for every school? Potentially not. But this is where it's going to be working in collaboration with those schools to say, hey, this is an option that you have. It's available to you. If you feel that it would be best served within your school and with those students, it's available. However, there are going to be some schools that are going to be like, you know what? No, we'd like to go with a different program. Great. Again, DARE of the old days was a lot of scare tactic, for lack of a better word, is what I would say. This curriculum is entirely changed. It's entirely different. It's no longer that scare tactic. It's more about teaching kids choices and responsibility and how to make healthy choices. And so getting away from the say no to drugs emphasis and really, again, looking at teaching kids critical thinking abilities. Does that make sense? And again, the way that it was structured in the past, we would not be doing it that way. It could be an option of like, this teacher really feels it would be beneficial to this class, great. In the past, it would be like, no, we're hitting the whole school and this is what we're doing. No, we realize that each classroom even has different dynamics. And so it really would be working with the actual individual schools to say, what is it that you need? With that, this curriculum also comes with an evaluation piece. And so it would be taking a look at what the students are learning, having the officers evaluated by the teachers that are overseeing them, and again, seeing what's working, and if it is and if it's not. So.
Thanks, Lieutenant. I appreciate the thoughtfulness around that. I really do. And then the instructors are officers?
So yes, the way that we're looking at it right now, we would have the instructors as officers. However, they can also be firefighters. They could be retired officers. The way that we currently want to structure it is we understand that most officers have like their other responsibilities, but this would be an additional sign-on.
Okay.
But with that said, there would be an assessment process. So in other words, I'm not just going to say like, oh yeah, you want to come do this? Let's do this. No. What we would want to do is we would want to come up with an assessment process to actually see who's qualified. After that, they would have to receive the training. It's an intensive training where it ends up being 2 weeks. You can't teach an officer to be necessarily a teacher in 2 weeks. However, you can teach them the basis of the curriculum. And I would like to think through the assessment process. You're going to have the officers that are invested in working with their community and with the teachers to see a difference.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Sure.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Mayor. Those are all my questions, concerns.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Matisse.
Thank you, Mayor. Barbara, can you
Well, I believe it's page 9. If you could bring up page 9, I just. Yeah. On the child welfare, could you explain more on the children, youth involved with the justice or care system? Maybe more of an explanation and detail on that. Thank you.
Good afternoon again, Jamie Michael, County's Health and Human Services. This is kind of a general terminology for children who may be in like the juvenile justice system or in child protective services system. So any child that is system involved in either of those two areas, we would look at how to develop services for that child or that child and their family. Does that make sense?
Very much. And then the parent involvement with this program with the children?
Yes, absolutely. Obviously, if they're in the care system, there is probably some reason why they are not in the home that with their parents. So we would work with CYFD and other early childhood providers in the community to provide the type of services that they need in the home or that the family needs, knowing that the root cause of a lot of this is substance use for the parents.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? No. I was going to open up if there's anyone from the public, Las Cruces Public Schools, anyone that wish to speak or have any comments on this? Did you have 2 minutes? You state your name and you'll have 2 minutes.
Mayor, Council Juan Garcia, Leticia, myself, and a few others, and we met with a couple of the council on the advocating for this Keep It Real. And I want to say thank you. I hope you support it. I think it's a good effort, particularly with a high juvenile crime in Las Cruces. And this is what prompted us to get started on this. So again, I hope you support it, and I hope you vote for it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Leticia Sanchez-Freeman. So yes, I've been working with Juan and LCPS since probably October to try to get DARE into the public school systems. The National Guard is teaching it, as Barbara mentioned. They're actually teaching it at Jornada Elementary and MacArthur Elementary this semester. So I just want to say thank you to Barbara, thank you to Chief Story and Lieutenant Whittela. Where is she? There she is. Thank you. Thank you so much for supporting this. I think it's a great effort. Yes, it is not, or no, it is not the old DARE. It is a new program. It is called Keeping It Real. It's primarily structured for 5th graders. But folks, Juan and I met with folks from Deming that are teaching it in Deming, police officers from Silver City. I'm working with Sergeant Robles, who works for Otero County. They're actually having their DARE conference this week in Ruidoso. And I'm planning to meet with Representative Dow at 4:30 today, because I'm also hoping that we can get funds to actually put together a DOT, which is DARE Officer Training course here locally. So instead of sending your police officers to Oklahoma or Missouri, where they typically have the classes, why not do one here? Because Sergeant Robles, who's with Otero County, already has 3 officers that are certified to teach. The only thing they need to do now, excuse me, is do shadow training for a course somewhere, and then they will be ready to teach it locally. So if we can get funding for that, I think that would be great. But just wanted to say thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor Enriquez, Mayor Pro Tem Bencomo, and council members. Roberto Lozano, I am the Chief of Educational Equity and Support Programs. First, wanted to thank you for your support in the allocation of funding that hopefully will be approved. As mentioned by Barbara, we do have SEL programming across our schools in elementary, middle, and high school, so that will greatly help us in maintaining what we have and hopefully even getting better at what we offer for our schools. Regarding the Keeping It Real program, we have had several meetings with Mr. Garcia and Leticia and also members of the police department around that. There are some promising statistics around the program. However, like Barbara mentioned, the stance that we're taking is that it will only be an option. I don't think we'll ever get back to how we were back in the day where every fifth grader received it. We are working with the UP Coalition here in Las Cruces, and they're helping us develop a menu of options per se, and really looking at the needs of the school. So I just wanted to emphasize those points and thank you again for the support and look forward to the continued effort and collaboration. My colleague Amy Himmelwright is here. I don't know if she wanted to add something.
Good afternoon. I'm the Executive Director of Academic Counseling and Behavioral Health for Las Cruces Public Schools. And the only thing I would like to add is that we truly have worked in positive partnership with our school resource officers. We appreciate them tremendously. And while we do have programming in the schools, there are gaps. And so it most certainly would be helpful to us to bring in LCBD as a community partner to help us ensure that there's increased coverage of drug, alcohol, tobacco prevention at every grade level.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And I did want to mention that Amy is also a member of our advisory council, so thank you for your service there.
Great. Seeing no other comments. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 26-025. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores is absent. Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. Next is item 8.2, a resolution approving a nuisance substandard dwelling or structure in need of abatement at 414 East May Avenue within the city limits of Las Cruces.
Move to approve.
Second.
And Chris Favor will begin.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, Chris Favor, Community Development, for the record. Before we start, let me just say I took DARE in the 5th grade, and I have an amazing story I can tell you guys after council. So anyway, so we're here to talk about an abatement of a structure at 414 East May Avenue. I do have the resident who lived next door, members of codes, and fire, and our historic preservation specialist here if there's questions for them. So a little bit of background. This property is in the Mesquite original town site district. It was built in 1915. It has been unoccupied since about 1980, sometime in the early 80s, and as of today, there is no legal owner. There are descendants of the deceased owner, but there is no legal owner, which is part of the issue that we've been dealing with over the last few years. It was condemned as an unsafe structure back in September of last year, and the structure currently poses very significant safety concerns for the neighborhood and many of the residents. It has been a frequent location for a lot of the unhoused population to access. There's been a lot of damage, to the building and from the incidents that have taken place there. There have been many calls and responses to fires on site. About 29 public safety calls over the last few months, and in late 2024, there was actually a deceased body that was removed from the building. So the roof and part of the south wall has collapsed, and so it is a very unsafe structure to be around. And so the adobe walls are exposed, and that's continuing to cause additional deterioration of the structure. What you can see in this photo right here in the middle is actually the property, the owner, Doris, on the property that is still standing, is pointing out the situation on that property where it is collapsing and pulling away from her structure and potentially causing damage to her existing historic structure as well. Oop, looks like I got ahead of myself a little bit. So yes, it is connected via a party wall to 422 East May. And so it is potentially causing damage to that historic structure. So we are trying to do everything we can to save that structure and potentially salvage any of the material from 414. These are just a few other photos to sort of document the conditions there on site. So just kind of highlighting the process to this point and where we would go. So we did go to the Historic Preservation Committee for their recommendation to demo in July. It's never something we want to have to do to demo a historic adobe property like this, but the fact that it had sat vacant for so many years really contributed to the condition and the fact that there really just wasn't much that we could do at this point. One of the requests from HPC was that we do everything we can to try and salvage any of the material, whether that's repurposing some of the adobe or if there's any of the original wood that's available. So as we go through, if it's approved, as we go through the demo process, we'll work with the contractor to try and salvage any of the material if possible. So here we are for the council resolution for demo. If it's approved, then what we'll have to move forward with is notice by publication, since there is no known legal owner. And then we will work with the contractor to demo and potentially salvage, and CD staff is already soliciting potential bids from vendors. And then ultimately, when it's all done, we can lien the property to recover the cost of the demolition that the city will have to pay for. So that's my presentation. Like I said, I have fire codes and the historic preservation specialist available if you have questions, and of course I'm here as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Councilor Corain.
Thank you, Chris. I can't wait to hear your DARE stories. I'm sending mine in a follow-up to Chief Story and LT Wiedela, so I'll include you on that. Just as a few, this made me think a number of questions. I'm glad the person who lives next door is here. First, I just want to say, this stinks. Like, this situation stinks, and also we need to be doing things like this, and also it's a bad situation that we have to deal with. I do hope, I don't know how connected they are, but I really hope that whatever happens with the contractor, we're really clear about the safety of the existing structure and make sure that that is a really, like, the primary thing that they're paying attention to. Other issues, I understand, salvaging things, whatever, it might matter, but I think making sure that we take care of the person's existing structure is really critical. But this also has me thinking, I looked through the documents where we were sending notices to someone who had passed away, like many years before, in the documents that exist, and it just made me think that perhaps there is some way that we can find. It's the first week of school. We do, I'm going to digress a tiny bit, but I'll get back to the point. If we have students that are like not showing up, seem to be struggling with something, we do like this crazy early intervention where we have other people call them, we send them other things, we do a whole bunch of things to try to get those students to come back to class and succeed in our classroom, right? That's part of our ethos at the community college. This story makes me feel like, can we do something? I don't know what it would look like, but like an early alert system where we say, this house, the person who owned this house died, or the family cannot afford it. Like something that puts a flag in all of our systems so that we're communicating clearly across the board and not waiting until the person has been gone for many years and it's been neglected and people are lighting it on fire and it's falling and the neighbor is complaining all the time. I think we could do better, I guess, is what I would ask. And I wonder if there's some way that we can create a kind of property flag. Like, we have nuisance abatement, and that is, I think, I'm really looking forward to us addressing that, but I feel like a little bit more upstream. Maybe there are some indicators that we could use to help us prevent this type of situation. And I don't know if you have any ideas. That's a very sort of abstract idea. It just feels like this is an acute situation that should have been prevented at a myriad of places. And I don't know if it's incumbent on us to address this. It might not be, but I would like us to if we can.
Sure. Mayor, Councilor Cran, so let me first start by saying that I will be coming to a work session the end of September to sort of lay out a more aggressive approach to dealing with some of these properties, and so some of that will actually be demonstrating some of the things that we're doing. But ultimately, what it comes down to is my department working very closely with codes to identify those properties and potential ownership issues as soon as they come on our radar. So what we're doing is, while codes is out there, if they identify a property that potentially is vacant, early in the process, we can try and identify the owner and ultimately prevent something like this from happening. This is a very unique situation in that it's been 40 years, and even when the owner passed away back then, there was no legal descent there, so we never really would have had a process to reach out to somebody else. But again, that's a very unique situation. In most cases, we've been doing a lot of research on the properties that are on the NAT list on all different levels, from the extreme cases all the way down to the ones at the bottom that we're trying to prevent to get to that point. And we're able to usually identify an owner through a variety of processes, and so we're starting to document that process and work, having staff in community development work closer with codes. We do have some GIS resources that we're putting into this that we'll be demoing at that September meeting to kind of show how we're flagging these properties and getting staff to be more aware of them early on so that we can ultimately prevent this from happening. There are several more properties out there, not just in the historic district, but around the city, that are going to kind of meet this same fate where there is no owner. We've done everything we could to identify it, and ultimately we're probably going to have to push forward with demo. But once we get that process kind of back to baseline, then we can sort of be more proactive as these properties do come up. So that is the ultimate goal, and we can definitely discuss more of that at the September work session.
Councilor Matisse.
Chris, I had some questions on abandoned buildings, particularly from businesses. And is there anything when a business just vacates and leaves and it just gets really deteriorated, gets pretty bad, the property around it's not handled, sometimes they leave signage that is maybe could be harmful, that people could harm themselves on it. How does the ordinance cover some of these abandoned businesses, particularly El Paseo, and I think of Church's Chicken? That's kind of unsightly. And then the theater, I think it's going to the Las Cruces Boys and Girls Club, but is that the graffiti capital of the world? That's gotten pretty ugly. How do you address that or control that, or just a question?
Sure. Mayor, Councilor Matisse, that is a great question. That is, again, something we can discuss more in depth in September. But to your point, Council has adopted the International Property Maintenance Code that does set standards for what buildings need to be when they're vacant and what level they need to be maintained at. Again, that's going to be more cooperation between community development and codes to identify those early on and work with those owners to address that before it becomes an issue, or if it has become an issue, to make them bring that property up to code. So that is something that we are working on now. It hasn't been a real point of emphasis historically, so we're trying to remedy a lot of those situations and kind of get everybody up to speed. And then alternately, there are some other alternatives to sort of move forward and deal with vacant properties and buildings sort of in the long term, and we can discuss other options that are available. But again, it really just gets back to working closely with the resources we have now and enforcing the code that's already been adopted. And so we're using staff on the building official and some of our staff there to go out and identify some of these, meet with the owners, let them know what the expectation is. I actually just spoke with the owner of an abandoned commercial property on Friday and let him know that we are, trying to move this forward. The comment was made, oh, it's been sitting vacant for years. And I'm like, yeah, I know that's our bad, but now we're trying to fix that and move that forward and deal with those issues. So we're trying to be a little bit more aggressive in our approach to identify them earlier on than letting them get to this point.
Councilor McClure.
I just want to add that as I've been going to the Historic Preservation Committee meetings, I'm really actually kind of optimistic about it. Given that there's the watch list, we have a new chair, and we have a new historic preservation specialist, and I think everybody's really engaged. A lot of the pushback we got was, why didn't we take care of this 5-10 years ago? So at this point, this is the time to start, right? None of us were here, some of us were here at 10-15 years ago, but a lot of times it's the best place to start was yesterday, but second best is now. So I'm actually really optimistic. I just put it on my agenda to come on Wednesday again and to meet the new 3 preservation committee members. And I just think that we now are kind of having a new focus for this. So that's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I totally agree. It kind of seems like we keep having this conversation about why didn't they do something about it 15, 20 years ago? And for the folks that have sort of gotten used to, well, it's just always been abandoned and empty. Why now? Well, yeah, why now? It's because, I don't know, you have a council that's paying very close attention now, I guess, and we want to do something about it. Chris, I'm curious about, obviously this particular property had to go through a historic preservation process. That's not going to happen every time, obviously, but I am curious from the moment of condemnation in September of last year to now, what is it that takes this long to get to where we are, given the deterioration of the property? And I say this because I can think of at least 3 properties in District 4 that look very similar to this one.
Great question, Mayor Pro Tem. So I think there was a couple things specific to this property that maybe made it take a little bit longer, but I will admit it probably shouldn't have taken this long. The first one was we were trying to identify potential owners because there was the thought that maybe there was a potential buyer. So we thought if we could find somebody who was a legitimate heir and connect them with somebody who wanted to buy it, we were trying to give that process a little bit long, and we worked with Brad and his staff to try to identify that. But ultimately, there just wasn't any options on that path. The second reason is because it is located within the historic district, it requires a structural report in order to do the demo. So we had to bring on a structural engineer to go in and do the analysis and provide us a report that basically says that this property needs to be demoed. Further complicating the issue was the fact that it was attached by a party wall to another property. So we were having to make sure that whatever we were looking at was going to take her property into consideration, because what we kept hearing was, you're not protecting a historic property, you're trying to demo it, and then to some extent, yes, that is an argument, but now we're trying to preserve the other historic property next door, so we wanted to make sure we were doing everything we could to get all the information we needed specifically about that wall. And we had the building official out there and fire and codes, and everybody was out there actually up on the roof of the other property looking to make sure that we knew what the conditions were before we moved forward. So it did take a little bit longer. Other properties that are not located within the historic district won't take the same amount of time, but hopefully the plan is to move a lot quicker on these, where we identify them, we try to find an owner. If we have to go in and abate the situation and then lien the property and then move forward with other remedies, we're doing that in a more timely manner.
Thank you, Chris. I'm really looking forward to the September conversation. And I also have a funny dare story for later.
Is there any members of the public that would like to speak? This time, did you want to say anything to the property?
Doris, did you want to? Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Doris Buchmann again, 422 East May. Thank you so much. I'm so thankful for what he did, and Mr. Milo. And the years that I went through, the last 4 years, especially the last 3, when I tell people about this, they are in absolutely unbelief. They want me to move away and all these kind of things. Waking up to a fire a few feet away from where you're sleeping, getting knocked out of your, from the fire department out of the house. Standing in the smoke of a melting bathtub in plastic, covering the whole air. As I said, the distress through the night, because the people are still, just a few days ago, they moved in again in this property, 414, with a mattress. I'm just saying. In the meantime, it's used as a dump site. The whole people that do not have trash bins, they're bringing their trash now to this property, and it's just raising to the top of the building. And yeah, there is so many years of living in this stress that I'm super, super thankful that it looks like this is not the only thing that's going to change. The whole neighbors, everybody is giving up. The police, they're coming. It's the same on the next day, and on the next day it's the same, and the next day it's the same, no matter how much you call. And this man here actually made the difference. So thank you so much. Thank you for, listening even to that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Chris, and really look forward. Was there somebody else?
I was giving him a thumbs up.
Oh.
I did not pay her to say that, by the way. So.
You wanted to say something, ma'am? Yes. If you have to step up to the mic, state your name. You have 2 minutes.
My name is Belinda Robertson, and I want to ask a question. How much is the cost to remove this property? How much is the cost? It's a question.
Chris, do you know?
Mayor, Council, we are soliciting bids right now, and quite frankly, we've had bids that came in anywhere from the low 30s to over $100,000. So we're trying to sort through, obviously we have a limited budget for the NAP program, so that's what we're looking for right now, but we haven't settled on a particular contractor yet.
And another question, how many properties in this condition are close to this property?
Specifically close to this property, I don't have an exact amount, but there are numerous properties, I would say, within the historic district alone. I ran a report the other day. I would say there's probably about 20 properties in various levels on the NAT list within the historic district. So.
And the properties have a owner, the other properties, or are no owner? Is the question. The question about the property, because you mentioned that you have that is approximately 20 properties close to this property, but this property don't have an owner. The other properties have an owner or are abandoned like this one?
Yes, ma'am. There are some that have owners. This is one of those rare situations where there is no legal owner, but the majority of them do. It just takes litigation, legal action to determine where they're at and who is the rightful owner. All right, again, thank you, Chris. Good job. And also to codes and the fire department, everybody involved. Looking forward to the work session. You can address some of those issues. I think that's already mapped out to where they're at and share that information But I do agree, and I'm glad that council is looking at this because, the procedural process has been hot and cold through the years throughout. But this is an opportunity to really get some policy, some incentives, and some funding to this program so that we can start really cleaning up Las Cruces and making it a better community and safer community. So good job, guys. Thank you. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 26-026. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores is absent. Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Next is item 8.3, a resolution approving a professional service agreement for Phase 3 of the Downtown Master Plan. And that'll be,
Move to approve.
Second.
Greg Gonzalez.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council members, and City staff. My name is Greg Gonzalez. I'm a buyer with the purchasing program here for the City of Las Cruces. And before you today is a resolution authorizing the city to approve the professional service agreement for Phase 3 of the Downtown Master Plan with Placemakers LLC. The City of Las Cruces had updated the Las Cruces Downtown Master Plan in 2016. This update established a collective and local vision to shape the downtown area, which established a showcase of history, demographics, and identifying the arts and culture scene of Las Cruces, as well as development for local businesses, transportation, and parking. Updating the existing downtown master plan will allow Phase 3 of this update to review and analyze an existing downtown master plan through a collaborative design process, and also ensure alignment with Elevate Las Cruces comprehensive plan. This update will also provide a policy foundation for the downtown tax increment and metropolitan development districts, and identify strategies, sites, and financial resources. Procurement number 24-25-070 established Placemakers LLC from Albuquerque, New Mexico as the recommended firm that could provide these services. Through a good faith review of available resources, a sole source procurement under Las Cruces Municipal Code 24-7A, identifying a substantial duplication of cost to the city that is not expected to be recovered through competition, was approved, and recommended a professional service agreement for 1 year for an amount not to exceed $199,875, subject to approved budget appropriations. And before your options for this resolution, and I now stand for questions.
Thank you, Greg. Any questions by council? Any members of the public? Seeing none. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 26-027. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores is absent. Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Next is item 8.4, a resolution authorizing an existing contract purchase agreement with Advanced Network Management.
Move to approve, Graham.
Second.
Elisha.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, City staff. My name is Alicia Zamora Morales, Buyer 1 with the Purchasing Program. And before you today is a resolution to award an existing contract purchase agreement. The City of Las Cruces utilizes Advanced Network Management, Inc., which manages the types of services utilized within the system and the types of devices linked to Cisco manufactured telephone systems. Managing these licenses ensures continuous, reliable communications for the city's operations. The Las Cruces Municipal Code authorizes the city to utilize contracts from other entities. This allows for efficient and cost-effective procurement of goods and services to meet the city's operational needs. License and support provided by Advanced Network Management, Inc. are available through the New Mexico State Price Division's statewide price agreement, which is valid through November 17, 2025. The Information Technology Department is requesting authorization to the contract with Advanced Network Management for the purchase of license and support renewals in the amount not to exceed $250,000, subject to a budget appropriations. And before you are your options, and I stand for questions.
Thank you. Any questions? No, we're good. All right, Christine.
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 26-028. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Coran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores is absent. Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes. Next is 8.5, resolution number 26-029, a resolution to award contracts for security guard services to Security Concepts.
Move to approve. Graham.
Second. Corin.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, and staff. Donnie Procyse, Purchasing Supervisor in the Financial Services Department for the record. And before you is a resolution to authorize contracts for security guard services. The City of Las Cruces needs armed and unarmed guards services to meet daily planned and unplanned activities throughout the city. And those services are essential to support daily operations. Security guards are needed to patrol city facilities and events to ensure the safety of city staff, residents, and to protect city property. Multiple city departments and facilities require security guards to ensure safety of staff and members of the public. In May 2025, the purchasing program issued request for proposals number 24-25-069. 3 responses to the solicitation were received and evaluated by the Selection Advisory Committee, or SAC. And the SAC is recommending to award service agreements to the 2 highest ranked respondents, which were Security Concepts Incorporated and Transcending Tactical LLC of Las Cruces, New Mexico. The Public Works Department is requesting authorization to contract with both firms for a total of 5 years and in a combined amount not to exceed $3 million annually. I would like to note that previously we had separate contracts for the federally funded security guard services at the Mesilla Valley Intermodal Transit Terminal. This time the purchasing program elected to do a combined RFP that will allow us to use these contracts both citywide and for transit, which is federally funded. And with that, these are your council options, and I stand for questions.
All right, thank you, Donnie. Any questions? Seeing none. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 26-029. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Coran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores is absent. Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes. Next is board appointments. We're done. This one. So this is to read into the record appointment by City Councilor Coran to alternate of the South Central Regional Transit District Board. Appointment by Councilor Coran of Rudy Jaime to the Senior Programs Advisory Board. An appointment by Councilor Flores of Marlene Ritz to the Senior Programs Advisory Board. The next ones require a motion and a second, and then a vote. James Ashby, new appointment to the Veterans Advisory Board.
Move to approve. Second. Graham.
This is on the motion to appoint James Ashby to the Veterans Advisory Board. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Coran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores is absent. Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Next is Luke Keith, new appointment to the Veterans Advisory Board.
Move to approve.
Second. Bencomo.
This is on the motion to appoint Luke Keith to the Veterans Advisory Board. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Coran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores is absent. Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Next is Daniel Ashbach, a reappointment to the Veterans Advisory Board.
Move to approve, Graham.
Second.
This is on the motion to reappoint Daniel Ashbach to the Veterans Advisory Board. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Coran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores is absent. Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. Next is Sam Bothran, reappointment to the Veterans Advisory Board.
Move to approve.
Second, Graham.
This is on the motion to reappoint Sam Bothern to the Veterans Advisory Board. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Coran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores is absent. Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. Next is notice of proposed ordinances, and we have one. It's Council Bill number 26-003, ordinance number 3095, an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 18, nuisance section 18-1 and 18-2 of the Las Cruces Municipal Code.
Bring it forward.
Next is City Council member board reports and comments. Councilor McClure.
No, thank you, Mayor.
Councilor Matisse.
Yeah, I just wanted to share with everyone that the El Paso Museum of History, they opened up a women veterans exhibit, and it was quite impressive in El Paso. I attended it, and it was well attended. And I remember when I started Honor Flight, we had a difficult challenge to make sure that women were getting recognized as much as men when we were recruiting people to see the World War II memorial. I think things have gone a long way, and then a reminder today, we have the #1 baseball team only because a girl is on the team. So I think we all should just remember women play an important part in everything. The second thing I like to do is thank Chief Story. The citations that's happening in the traffic, and reading those reports is amazing. It's not too comforting to know that the person that might slam into you in a red light may not have a license. But again, thank you for the work you're doing on those citations. I think maybe it'll slow down some people. Maybe it'll actually get some people to register their cars, and maybe a few people will stop when the light is red. Thank you.
Councilor Graham.
Thank you. I will also start off by thanking Chief Story, but also the entire department for the truly incredible, eye-opening, reel-to-reel training event that you made possible for us. Special thanks to Lieutenant McBride and Attorney Scramler, who were our primary instructors that day, but also to all of the officers who came and did some really disturbingly believable acting for us in the scenarios. I doubt I'm the only one who had trouble sleeping that night, and I'm not kidding. I felt jumpy for the rest of the evening, but it was amazing to have just a small glimpse into what your day-to-days are like, and I truly appreciate the effort that it took to coordinate that. So many thanks to you and all who participated. Also, great news from the Las Cruces Community Schools front. Sunrise Elementary is going to be our newest community school. So I know. So I believe that makes 8, elementary and middle schools that are part of the community schools model. And just a super brief overview of that. Community school is the idea that you make a school a hub, not just for the kids who are attending there, but for their families and for the surrounding communities. So it's a true partnership. I'm currently on the community schools board, so that's how I got plugged into this great information. So Sunrise Coyotes, welcome to the community school partnership life, and looking forward to getting out there and meeting everyone. Thanks.
Councilor Corinne.
Thank you. I echo the appreciation for Chief Story and Lieutenant McBride and the attorney who gave us all the a bunch of acronyms that I won't remember anymore. SURF, I remember what it is, but I don't remember any of the things because I'm not good at remembering things like that. But I really appreciate being invited to participate and having the opportunity to spend the morning with you all and all the work that went into making that a great experience, I think, for us and for the reporters and stuff who were there and other folks. So thank you for that. I do want to give a quick, I should let Graham do this, but the ASCMV has an official executive director position open. So thank you for your work on the committee to get that happening. And it's a national search. If you just Google ASCMV executive director, you'll see that they are recruiting across the country for the next leadership at the Animal Services Center. I hope that people will spread the word. Some folks in the community have mentioned they have ideas for people, so please do spread that to everyone that you know who might be appropriate. And again, the search firm that's working on it has searched for animal shelter leaders in municipal government before, so they have a lot of experience in terms of attracting people and evaluating that. And there will be an opportunity for community input to the candidates that are brought in, I think. So that's ongoing and a positive step in the right direction. I also wanted to welcome all of the new NMSU students, DACC students. Classes start on Wednesday, so we'll see you around campus and out there in Las Cruces. Welcome to town if you're new, or welcome to the classroom. Get some new pens if you're just starting fresh this fall. And then the last thing that I wanted to add was we had a representative from the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee here who alluded to the BPACT's activities, but tomorrow night, sorry, let me just make sure that I tell you the right details about this. Tomorrow night, the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee will be meeting at they're inviting the community to be there at the Doña County Commission chambers at 5 p.m. tomorrow night. And it will be a work session related to, in particular, thinking about a very pedestrian-oriented Las Cruces and considering active transportation and all that we hope for in that sort of visioning session. So I hope folks will consider going to the BPAC tomorrow night at 5 p.m. if that's something that you're particularly interested in. And that's it. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll actually maybe start where Councilor Corin ended, and just because I wanted to talk about something slightly similar regarding traffic calming. We did all receive a letter from Las Esperanzas and the Alameda Depot Neighborhood Association regarding the work they had done to organize around the redesign of Amador Loman, and the sort of how dangerous it is. And they even included some points in here about some pedestrian or accident fatalities or accidents. And of course, I think, while I do think this is important that we get an update on where that is, just yesterday, I also received another email from a constituent who lives on Karen Avenue about speeding on that street. And so I know I've talked about this before, but given that we are headed into conversations about GRT and public safety and pedestrian safety, thinking about exactly the list of traffic calming requests that we have from all over the city. know at least, 4 in District 4, but I'm sure my colleagues would have more. And so I don't know if Public Works keeps track, or codes, or whoever keeps track of that list, but I certainly think we probably should make one, if not, and if we do have one, I'd love, someone can send it to me, that'd be great. I think, this, while perhaps citations are up, and that's a good thing, it's clearly a problem across the city and specifically in residential neighborhoods. So I do think we need to keep that at the forefront in terms of traffic calming measures. I also wanted to thank the police department, Chief Story, Lieutenant McBride, for the invitation to participate in the Real to Real workshop. I am external processor, and so I processed out loud with Peter on his radio show the next morning and sent a very long email to Chief Story and Lieutenant McBride about just a lot of the thoughts about, I think they were hoping to certainly challenge us in many ways, and I felt very challenged, and so just wanted to say thank you for that and for the opportunity to be in community with you all. And then because this amazing baseball team was here, thank you. I'm so glad, Mayor, that they reached out or that you invited them, whatever. I think it's always nice to start the meeting with something as joyful as that. So proud of them. But it got me thinking about several months ago, a gentleman had come here to ask about Los Vaqueros and if we could explore the opportunity of bringing that back. And I really wanted to follow up on that. I thought that was a really great idea that a constituent came forth and would love whether Economic Development Department or whoever explored the possibility of bringing back that minor league team. And I think that sounds like a lot of fun. And obviously, baseball is important part of the culture of our community. So thanks, Mayor.
No, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and thanks. Thank you, Chief Story, for the training. It was good. It was challenging. Yeah, just say that. The things to think about afterwards. But I am going to reach out to that individual that came out and talked about the, a pro baseball team in Las Cruces. I know it was tried before. I don't know what happened at that point. But again, gathering some information, want to discuss. I know that our parks director, Steve, we've talked about the ball fields and the upgrades and things that would be needed for things like that. So we want to make sure that, if we're going to do something like that, we need to be committed to sprucing up the ball fields, not only for a pro team, but for these 12-year-olds. Maybe we'll see, instead of being the traveling team, we can be the host team, and people can come in and spend money in Las Cruces and help our GRT and help us as a community. But I always look at opportunities for kids that are kind of in the middle and don't get an opportunity to travel. And this way, competition comes to them, and they just get better, and then they'll flourish, and maybe someday be on that pro team from here in Las Cruces. That's the hope and the vision for our future. I just want to mention a couple of things that the New Mexico legislatives are here in town. I was there earlier today with the New Mexico Water and Natural Resource Committee, and on Wednesday, the New Mexico Finance Committee will be here. So be welcoming all our legislators to the city and sharing with them updates of what's going on in the city and some of the needs that we have. So with that, I'll turn it over to our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Enriquez, Mayor Pro Tem Bencomo, City Council, County Tamaulipas, City Manager, and excited to be here. I'd love to start off and ask our accounting team to please come down to the front. Exciting news that we announce typically at this time our annual comprehensive financial report, also known as our ACFR, for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2024, and qualifies for GFOA Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. We're currently undergoing our 2025 end of year that is currently happening right now. And the Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in governmental accounting for financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by government and its management. Can we give a round of applause, please, to our awesome accounting team? Thank you. Just wanted to ask Leslie, you or Josie wanted to just share some words. Yeah. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Josie Trevino. I'm the comptroller for the city of Las Cruces. Give me a second. Figure this out. Okay. Yes, I did want to give a few words. So this award isn't just about numbers and compliance. It's about our people who pour their experience and their time into making sure our financial reporting is transparent, accurate, and worthy of public trust. Their work often goes unseen, but today we shine a light on it. To the entire team, thank you for your commitment to excellence. You've set a standard that reflects the very best of public service, and I'm proud to celebrate this achievement with you. Thank you.
Can we have, if anyone in PIO is listening, can we have Jen, any of our photographers, please come out?
I think they need championship rings like the baseball team had.
Quick photo.
Yeah, little bling.
I do have an interesting, well, since we wait, I have an interesting story. So that little girl that was here, Jaden, she actually played with us, with our team, softball, which was her first time playing softball. And she went from playing 12U baseball to playing an 18U softball this weekend. So it's great to see these kids, all our athletes in New Mexico actually putting us on the map. A lot of our kids as well play sports, so we just love seeing the kids up here getting recognized.
I thought you were going to have a dare story as well. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Council, just letting you know we're sending someone down to take the picture right now.
Again, thank you, Council, for bearing with us on that. But we appreciate our accounting team so much, and we thank our accounting team especially, a lot of work that they're doing. Moving forward, communications. They continue to receive awards. NATOA, which is known for the National Associations of Telecoms Officers and Advisors. This is a huge award to even be a finalist on this, and so they've been named a finalist for 6 awards under this program. We also received 1 honorable mention. Finalists include videos for projects and programs in utilities, public works, quality of life, economic development, and human resources. So we have staff currently there, that's why they're not here. So our technical ops manager, Adrian Guzman, and media production specialist, Nathaniel Bidding, will be attending and is currently at the annual conference this week with the winners and will be formally announced later this week. So we'll keep you posted on that. For VLC, Visit Las Cruces works to create strong relationships with travel and outdoor riders, which has resulted in Las Cruces being nominated for the USA Today Best 10 Cities to Visit for Fall. Can we get a round of applause for that? This is USA Today, so definitely credible source here. Also, the Mesilla Valley Corn Maze has been nominated for Best Corn Maze. The Mesilla Dia de los Muertos event has been nominated for one of the best fall festivals. You can vote every day until September 8th. To vote, go to 10best.usatoday.com. As of Friday, Las Cruces was ranked 12th out of 20, so keep the votes coming. Wanted to pivot a bit, so Carl Clark is our Assistant Director at Joint Utilities. I'll have him come up to share a few updates on our lead and copper. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem, Carl Clark, Assistant Utilities Director. I'm here to give you an update on the lead and copper project that we have going on right now that's ongoing. Recently, there was a letter written to the Environmental Protection Agency as to the legitimacy of the New Mexico Environment Department's primacy over the lead and copper. Basically, the primacy, which really entails enforcement of lead and copper rule. The Environment Department wrote back to the public and stated that they are correct. New Mexico Environment Division does not have primacy. Basically, they cannot enforce anything. However, the EPA went on to state that the New Mexico Environment Division has oversight of the lead and copper in New Mexico, as well as providing technical support and guidance to public water systems, which Las Cruces Utilities is a public water system. So basically what they're saying is the New Mexico Environment Division really is to work with us and give us direction as to how it's supposed to go, and they work directly with the EPA. So this just leads us to other questions that have been stated that NME doesn't have primacy and that we shouldn't be going to them. That's incorrect. So I just want to make that statement. Also, there was a opportunity to email the Environment Division, New Mexico Environment Division, and in regards to our new customer connection service lines. So we're supposed to be updating the new customers with the type of service line materials that they have. And basically what we did was we took our form and sent it over to the Environment Division and had them review it. So we just got back information that what we did and what we've been doing is correct. And so I just want to make that statement clear that we're notifying our customers as new customers come in. We let them know what the materials are, the way we see it, and then that's the process. And we also keep records of all that. So we're complying with that aspect. And it has been approved by the Environment Division. When I say Environment Division, I mean New Mexico Environment Division. Also, there was a statement that there was some disappearance of data over the weekend. Number one, we had some issues with Google and Edge in regards to the map, and it wasn't downloading appropriately, so that is correct, but that has been taken care of as of Monday morning today. In addition, we've changed the way we're providing the inventory data. It was very confusing in regards to the inventory data and the inventory criteria, and we were updating it constantly. So what we once printed has changed, and that's created confusion with everybody. And so we've stopped doing that now. We're required to update the map or the inventory information annually, and that's what we're going to be doing, is providing it annually, because on this daily or weekly basis, it just provides too much confusion for everybody. So we're going to follow through with what the Environment Division says is okay and what the EPA says as written rule, and we're going to update annually. So that's the method that we're chasing down on this. Basically, inventory criteria is the description of the material. It could be lead, it could be unknown material, it could be plastic, it could be GRR, which is galvanized required replacement. And so it's one of those items that we mark on the form. And so that's the inventory criteria, and that's what's causing confusion, because we go out with staff and they check the boxes and they come back with new information and we update the maps, and so it changed from yesterday. We're not hiding anything, we're just updating, and that's the statement we want to make. So we're stopping that. We're going to do it annually as required and move forward from this point on. We're still waiting for our funding to come free. We did receive a large amount of grant money that we will be moving with in order to do the full inventory. We'll be hiring a consultant that is familiar with this process. They will be the lead on this, and we will be as transparent as possible. The only thing we're really guilty of is poor records in regards to the replacement of copper lines throughout the city. Unfortunately, that happened prior to me coming to utilities, so it's been a long time that these copper lines that were once out there are now gone. And unfortunately, we just didn't have a very good method of managing the data set. And that's what we failed to do. But we're going to be creating a new plan with this new consultant, and that report will be available to the public as well as the EPA and for history. That's what I can guarantee on that. And once I get a hold of the money, as usual, I move quickly with my projects. If you remember the ARPA funding, the 1.3 million, I spent it in 6 months. So this will be just as fast. We're going to move through this quickly and get this accomplished and have a nice report in the end. And basically, I have a feeling it's going to stay that we're always in compliance. We don't have a lead issue here in this city. We never have. I grew up here. Been drinking the water for 57 years now. I think I'm normal, but my doctor says I'm doing great, so love that guy. But that's really what I have to report right now. Stand for any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
To Assistant Director Carl Clark, thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, just 2 more departments, and then we'll let you on your way. Quality of Life, Public Art Director Ceci Vasconcellos spoke about public art on KTSM, Channel 9 News, Mas Las Cruces. The program has seen several views on the YouTube channel, so if you haven't seen it, go check it out. And last but not least, from the same department, our first GO-BOND-related public art project was installed at Fire Station 1 on Thursday morning, last Thursday on August 14th. It is titled United in Service by Jason Butler. Jason says he gave it that name because it not only describes the work of all firefighters, but it was also an honor for him to unite with them to make this piece of art. The firefighter who came out to the station to look at it while he was installing loved it. Once we close out the contract, we will schedule a dedication unveiling ceremony. So more to come on that. Last but not least, for Parks and Recreation, Keep Las Cruces Beautiful will host a midweek dumpster day on Wednesday, August 20th, from 2 to 6 p.m. to help residents dispose of the trash at 3 locations: East Mesa Rec Center, Frank O'Brien Papin Center, and Young Park. Additionally, join us for a free family-friendly movie in the park event on Friday, August 23rd at Amador Live. The movie will be Disney's Moana 2, which was released in late 2024. Last but not least, don't miss the next Music in the Park concert on Sunday, August 24th at Young Park from 7 to 9 p.m. The night kicks off with Flat Blacks, a band known for the high-energy classic rock performance that blend heavy riffs with melodies and hooks. They'll be followed by Schilling and Company, who will bring their fun and entertaining style to the stage. Mayor, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. With that, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
This is on the motion to adjourn the meeting. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.